User Authentication API is one of the important features to have in MERN stack application, and it has to be done right way. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you step by step how you can add user authentication route in your RESTful API. And in that route, once the user sends you the correct credential detail, then you should be able to create Jsonwebtoken, store them in the database, and response back to the client-side application so that they can access to the private route in the application. Before diving into the coding, I want to show you how user authentication route flows in the diagram so that you have a clear view. Hi everyone, this is Prem Acharya from Dented Code. I create tutorial related to full stack web development, and if you are interested in full stack web development, then please subscribe the channel and turn on all the notifications so that you receive all of my tutorial. With that saying, let's have a look at the diagram. So we will be creating a authentication API endpoint for the client-side application. So let's say this is the client-side application. The logging form will be sending email and password. So first, with our API, what we will do is that we will check if the combination of email and password is exist in the database for a user. If so, then we will go ahead and do other business. If the credential they provided is not valid, then we will respond invalid credential message back to user. So let's say the email and password is valid in database, then we go ahead and we start creating JWT. So if you don't know what is JWT, Jsonwebtoken, Jsonwebtoken is an open industry standard method for representing claims securely between two parties. In our case, two party means one the client-side application, another one is the API endpoint, RESTful API. So every time user want to access your API, especially in the MERN stack, they wouldn't have any idea where the request is coming from. So JWT is the best for us to authorize and identify user before allowing them to access any resources. So we'll talk more about it when you start implementing it. So yes, and then we will going to create two different Jsonwebtokens, one for accessing the websites and another one for refreshing the token itself for SS JWT. So when we create SS JWT, we will store them into the Redis database. When we create refresh JWT, then we will store them into the Mongo database along with the user information. So the reason we need to create these two tokens is that we will use the SS token for the user to verify every time they're requesting new resources in our API endpoint. So the life of the SS JWT, we will keep about 10 to 15 minutes so that in case your web token is stolen, the people who has your token won't have access more than 15 minutes to your server, to your account. So the reason we need refresh key is that every time your SS key is expired, we will use your refresh key to verify you and then recreate the SS key and assign to you so that you have a fresh pair of refresh key so that you can use to access your resources online. So once both of them are created and stored in their database, we will respond back to user with the SS JWT and refresh JWT. So this is what we are going to do in this tutorial. So it is more like a practical tutorial, guys. So I recommend you follow along if you can. And if you have any questions, you can always write me in the comment section, and I'll post this code to the GitHub repo and provide the link to the repo in the description below. So with that saying, let's start coding then. So in the previous tutorial, we created a endpoint for user creation, for user sign up. So we used Postman to as a client-side application to send the user information to this endpoint to create the user into our database like so. So if you haven't checked that tutorial out yet, I'll put the link in the card on the top, and you can check how we can create that one to create the user and store in the database. And you can see that we have encrypted the password using bcrypt instead of saving the plain password here. So from this tutorial, instead of switching between these two applications for calling the API, I'd like to use one extension called the REST client. This is very handy extension. We can make all the endpoint call from the VS Code itself so that we don't have to switch between the application. So the way we are going to use that is you just install this extension first, and let's go to the code base, and we need to create a file called whatever file. I'll say rest dot, the extension must be HTTP, and Here simply what we can do is we can copy this endpoint and put it there. Okay, we put triple hash to write the comment. I'm gonna say user sign up and point, and just provide like so, and provide what method it is. It's a post method, and inside underneath we need to provide the content type, which is basically application/JSON, because we are sending the JSON data like here. So I'm just gonna copy it and then put it there, and you can save this file for your reference. I mean, for the future you can just use same file. So I'm gonna close this now. You see here send request, you can just click here to send the request, and you're gonna get all the information. I have extra heading here, maybe let me turn that off. Extra heading is from the helmet extension that I have used. If you have used, you can comment out as well, but I'm gonna leave on comment when you send to the production. Okay, and again let's send the request, and the header is shorter now. See, it's saying the same message, the email is duplicate. Now we can use this one to call out all the API. Okay, with that thing sorted, let's move on. I just want to leave this one on the side. So the first thing we are going to need is we're going to create the login API. We're going to work on this login API today because we are going to create authentication endpoint, right? So let's do that. So I'm just gonna copy whole thing, and I'm gonna say users sign in endpoint, and here we have, instead of b1/user, we have b1/user/sign in, and we will only need email and password. So since this is the password we used to create the user, so I'm going to use same thing to send the login. So if we send now, it's going to say that resource not found because we haven't created our endpoint yet. So let's close this, close that. So go to user router, and let me press Ctrl B to hide this floor explorer. Okay, I don't need that. Here, so what we're going to do is just below the create new user route, below here we are going to create another route to sign in. So I'm gonna say user sign in router, and here we're going to do router dot post method. And if you remember our endpoint as the /user, here we have a /user/login. We don't need to do slash here because, let me put the login here first, because we have forwarded our, if you go to app.js, see we have called this let me go see this one, v1/user will forward all the requests to user.router file, which is this one that we are working on. So we don't need to type router here. So again, here we are going to receive request and response, and we will create error function. And just for now, I want to say JSON.send. I'm gonna say success for the status, and the message, I'll just write down message login successfully, and save this file. Now go to the rest.http file and make a request. So we're going to get the not JSON.send, I mean to say response.json, response.json, and send it. And let's go back again here, sorry about that, and send the form to the endpoint. And now you get the return saying status success, login successfully, and this is the HTTP response 200. Okay, our actually authentication endpoint is created, but we are just starting. So now what we have to do is that we will grab this information here. Let's grab this email and password here quickly. Const, we can simply destructure here email and password from request.body, because request.body holds the information that we send from there. That you can simply see that one by doing console.log request.body. Let's save that and you can see what's coming. So let's send the information again, and here you can see that we are getting an object with email and password as per our form, let's say simulated form. Okay, let's go back. We don't need this one too. So now since we have email and password, now we can proceed to check in our database whether combination of these two works or not. So what we're gonna do is first get user with email here, email from DB database, and then we will as our plain email and compare with the DB one, because if you realize that before our password are hashed, okay, using bcrypt is encrypted, so we cannot decrypt. So what we can do, we can encrypt this incoming password and compare against the encrypted password. So let's do that. So we got the email, we got the password here. So let's quickly write a quick check if not email or not like that, sorry, or not password. So if either of them is not there or like a null, then we simply respond saying that invalid, also error, invalid form submission. So if you want to know what does that do, you can simply, let's take the password out and then do the request again, and it will say unexpected, okay, not allowed. It's saying error, invalid form submission. That will what we just typed here. So that's just like a basic validation check, so that we don't have to do further work if there is no email and password, right? So let's grab the user first based on this email. Okay, let's do return so that we don't process further. Okay, so that the execution will terminate here and return to this line of the code. So let's grab the user detail from database first, and now go to the user.model, and here we get the user information from database by the email. So let's create a function called const get user by email, I would say, and we're gonna receive email arrow function. And again, if I'm gonna do quick validation, if no email, then simply return false for now. So and now we can simply do the query. So we have a user schema, we use user schema to do the query. So let's do user schema dot find one. I'm gonna do find one. It will only return one data if there are multiple data available for this condition, which will not be, but I will just put this one. And there we need the filter. So we have email as a filter, email, and here simply we will have either error or data returning from the database. So what we can do, simply say if error, I'm gonna console that out and see what's the error here, and also a response return the error. Actually we need to return promises. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna create a new promise here. So what we're going to return is promises, new promises actually, and it will either return resolve or reject if there is any error. So that's again an error function, and let's put this code inside that promise. Now we're gonna say instead of return, resolve do exactly same as the return with the promises. So we're going to do error here, and if no error, then of course we want to resolve the data as well. We save that, and we have an error. What is saying, get user by email unexpected identifier. Let me check, where is it? because it's not console, it's const. It's just defining a variable for this whole function. And let's put that down, and let's export this model as well here and save that. So let's put this one in try and catch in case it throws any error as well. Just we can catch it. So let's put everything again back in the catch block and resolve, actually not resolve, reject for the error, reject that error from here as well, and save that. Let's not console.log here. I want to do where we calling this from. So let's import get user by email in our user.router. So we have a user model already. So here simply put that get user by email, and now we can call here. So let's say const user equals to, we can await now, and we simply pass the email, and let's save that. And this one not allowed unless we provide async here, async. Okay, and here we can console log and see if what is coming from that user, and we can just leave for now. Okay, let's send it and see. Let's call this API again and see what's the response gonna be. If there is any error, it will throw the error. Seems like everything going good. Now we have a user coming from the database. There you go. This is the user ID ending with D74 that you can confirm here, D74, and all the information coming here. So our database saying it's valid user, I mean not valid user, user is exist for that email. So you can simply try by changing the email here. Let's put something, make the email invalid, and if you send this request, now we're gonna have null. We don't have any data because the query cannot find that any data related to this email in the database. So what we're gonna do now is we got this data in our router. Let's grab the password, hash password from the database user. So here let's say const pass from db equals to if user.id. I mean if the response coming from user get user by email has the user._id, that means there is a data. Then we will grab the password from here. We will grab the password. If there is no password, then we will simply put null. That means there is no password. We don't need this for now. Now we have the password from database, and we have the plain password coming from user, right? Now we can compare these two passwords and see if they match or not. If they do match, that means this profile is correct. They have the login information we receive in our endpoint is the correct, and it is authenticated. Now we can create the JWT and send back to the client so that they can access any resources they are allowed to access, can be accessed easily. Okay, so to do that, let's create the helper function to do that for us. I mean the comparison. So we done this. Has our email. Oops, no, that's not has our email. Password. Okay, sorry for that. Okay, let's do this part in the helper function. I'm gonna remove this one as well. This already done. So let's go to helper function, bcrypt helper. In here there is something called let me quickly go and show you in the bcrypt to compare the password. So let me show you. This one, it's saying like simply you do bcrypt.compare, provide the plain password and the hash password and the function. It will give us true or false. So let's simply copy that and let's create another function in the bcrypt.helper file called const compare password. We're gonna receive two parameters. One, plain password, one pass from DB. I'm going to simply say DB, and again arrow function, and this is also going to be returning promises. So return new promises. I'm going to do that promise, and then again resolve or reject if there's an issue, and arrow function. Inside here I'm going to paste the code that I just copied before, and the plain password is the plain pass, and hash is the password from database. So simply it's saying either return error or the result. So again, what we're going to do here, simply if error, I'm going to say reject error, and otherwise resolve result. Save that, and now what we need to do is export this function here. Again, save the file, and now we can call this function and pass this parameter, and then see what we're gonna get. Let's go to our user router, and this is in the bcrypt.helper. Let's see if we have already. Yes, and just put that new function we created and go down to here where we have a login router. Now see what's the result. Let's say const result equals to await again, and provide the function and pass both the passwords. So just to confirm again, the first parameter is plain password, second is the password from database. So plain password is just as password coming from the user, and the pass from DB is the password coming from database. And simply we can console.log here the result and see what is coming. Just save the file and go to the rest.http and make a call again. And I don't know what happened. Let's go down here. It says false. What is missing? Okay, let's see why it's saying false. So that means there is something is missing. Let's check out. So first go to user router. Thus we have to start debugging where everything happens from first. Okay. Anyway, so this one causing false. So that means the result coming false. And we are sending password and password from database. Yeah. Oh, actually not the password. So this password is a plain password. Must be password inside the user, right? So it has to be user.password, and save that. Now this is the password from database. If you put without it, this one is this password variable calling. Maybe give a one more call again and see what happens here. Let's call our login. There you go, it's saying true. If I put extra thing in the password and send it, it will say false. And if I send the wrong email, it will, oops, okay, yeah, cannot read. So here that means what happened is that if there is a, let's say no user is found, we are trying to access the property called _id from null, because this one returning null since there is no customer. So what we can do before accessing to .id, simply first check if there is user or not. So let's say if user, and if there is user, then check the user.id, and if there is a user.id, then return the user.password as a pass from DB. Other than that, if both the case is false or either of the case is false, send null. So now let's save it. It should fix the error. Okay, so we gotta do one more condition here then. So only do this if we have both the password here, like we did before. If we only have because let's say if there is a null, no data, no user is found, so we don't have to go to the next line, right? So simply say if we already have a password here. If we don't have password, we already returning from here. Now you can simply say if no password from database, then simply say return, we'll copy whole thing actually. I'll say return error invalid email, or so that means the email or password is invalid. So okay, let's put this one in the bracket and just remove this. Okay, and now you can say return that and save the file. So we're saying that if there is no user is found in database, that means definitely no password in the database. If that case, then send, okay, hey, your email or password is wrong, so sorry, we cannot go further. Now let's go there and make one more call with the wrong email again, send it. Now there is it's saying invalid email or password. That means they have to send the correct email or password. If they send correct email or password, when they send it, status success, login successful, we get 3 results. Okay, the first part is done. Now since the user have authenticated properly, now we can proceed to create JWT token and store them and send back to the user. So let's quickly add the comment, git comment. I'm gonna say git, I know rest is added, that's fine. Okay, I'm gonna do git add all git comment and user authentication added. Now just leave that. So now let's work on creating Jsonwebtoken. So for that, I need to go to, okay, let's go get the Jsonwebtoken from here. So let's grab this one and let's grab that one and stop the application and install that. npm I Jsonwebtoken. While it's installing, let's quickly have a look. What is it? Okay, that's already installed anyway. So Jsonwebtoken has basically like this encrypted version of the long string. It is in 3 parts, as you can see. First red, purple, and kind of blue, separated by the 2 dots. So what he's saying is that the first part is the header. So this is the encoded string, and when you decode, this is what it looks like. So we are basically saying that in header, we're going to hash this algorithm. Sorry, we're going to encrypt our token using hash algorithm HS256, and the token type is of course JWT. And in the middle part is the payload, which is data. Actually, you can put any data you like. So you can simply like add more data. You can say phone, but it must be in JSON format though, and comma, there you go, it's a valid. So you can put any data you like here, and it has the initiated date, where the issue date, when the token was issued, and the bottom, the third part is the main part, that how we securing the token. So this one is the secret code that we're going to provide. Based on that secret code, the bottom portion of the JWT will be created, and based on that one, we will verify if that code is generated from our endpoint or not. If that code is generated from our endpoint only, then we go further and then start doing further check before we grant the access to the user. Say, let's say we authorize user to load more resources. So let's work on that. Let's work on creating the token like so, and we store in database and we return to the user so that he can or she can later on use to access their account. Okay, I think this one already installed here. Yes, I can see that Jsonwebtoken. And let's quickly follow the best practice, which is recommended by them. So this is what we need to do. Simply we need to require the package and then say token.sign to create the token. Let's copy this one, 2 line, go to our code, and I'm going to create a helper function for this. So go to the helper folder and say jwt.helper.js, and I'm going to import JWT from the package, and I'm going to say const. So the token, I'm going to put a little bit down here. So this one simply going to create the token like so. So this one has to be very secret. So this is the secret you are going to use, secret key, to verify whether the token coming with the request was generated from our server or not. So this must be secure. Since it has to be secure, let's go to our env file, and here let's create another environment variable, because we don't want to expose that secret key right in our repo. So this is the best practice. So what I'm gonna say here is JWT_SSS secret, and I'm gonna just type randomly in the keyword see whatever comes up. Okay, this has to be very secure, guys. I just leave like that, and I'm gonna copy that line. We're going to, if you remember our diagram, we have two different types of key. We wanted to create one SS token and refresh token. So we're going to have a one secret key for each of them. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna just change something else. Just again jabberish. I have no idea what I just typing, just going randomly. Okay, now save the file. And if your application is already running, make sure you rerun the application once you save the environment variable. Okay, well, application loading. So here I'm going to create two functions, actually one function, the const create JWT, right? And I will get some payload here, because we can put some portion of data in the JWT and we can encrypt that. And simply it's saying use this, right? Say use token equals to JWT.sign, and here what I want to do, this is the one I copied before. I just wanted to copy paste so that I don't type wrong. So I'm gonna put, okay, this one, let's say SS token, let's say not token, JWT. So this is for SS JWT. We signing the key, so we put the payload here, whatever data we want to incorporate into the JWT, and we provide our secret key. Let's say that's in our now process.end.ss key here, like so, and let's simply return this token, right? Again, we need to return as a promise, so I'm gonna say simply return. You can do like this as well, promise.result, and simply send the SS token, and we do the same thing for the secret key as well. But what I'm gonna do first, I'm gonna say create SS JWT and create refresh JWT. Refresh JWT. The process is exactly same. So but instead of process.end.ss secret, now we need the refresh secret from our the environment variable. We are using two different types of key. So for the SS key, I want it to be expired in, let's say, every 15 minutes. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna put another parameter saying the expires in, and you can pass any time amount of date, second, hour, minute. You simply say, let me show you quickly, like here you can token with 1 hour, sign a token with 1 hour of expiration. So that's 1 hour of expiration. You just pass the exp as a exp value, or you can do simply expire in, and you can say 1 hour, 1 day, 1 month, or 30 days. You can put like this digit and the one alphabet to define how long you want it. So in my case, I want 15 and 4 minutes, or we can do same thing and provide the expiry date for the refresh key as well, but I want 30 days for that. 30 days. Do like that, and we need to export this out as well. Sorry, return this out, and let's export both of the function from here by doing module.exports equals to both of them here, and this one, and save the file. And we are going to import both of the function in our not user model, in our user router. I don't need bcrypt now, we can close it now. And here, okay, everything is right. User is us. Let me close this bar, sidebar. So everything is fine. User is signed in properly. Yeah, so we are going to create the tokens. So the const SSJWT is create SSJWT function. We have that one. And for the const refresh JWT, we have this function. I just copied from the other file, and we're going to wait and both for this. And we need to remember that we need to import this both the function in our header here. So that's in the JWT helper. So let's copy that and import in our user.router here. I'm gonna go here. Oops. I'm gonna go here and simply say const import both function from the require and just provide the path inside the double quotation. So that's gonna be slash helper slash JWT helper, and save it. It will and save the file, and it will just format for us. Okay, now we are already using here. Actually, if the compare password, hang on. So we actually do if the result is true, right? So not here, guys. Let's go down a bit and then check if not if the result is true, then we create the token, both of the token, and we just remove that, and we respond here saying that actually we do other way around. If no result, just copy down here. If no result, send the same message here, because that means the password did not match, right? So we just send that, and if it's true, then we execute this line here, and we have both access token, let's response back to user, access token and the refresh token. So what we're doing is, let me quickly go through. So simply first we getting email and password from the our request, and we checking if any of the email or password is not there. That means we say invalid from submission, and we response back to user, and then we will get the user based on the email address provided. And if there is an email address, that means there is a password inside the email with the user data in the database. If we don't have password in the database, that means again the user is not found based on the email given. Then we said again error, invalid email or password. And once we have a password, then we compare our plain password and the password hash password which is in the database. If they don't match, we say invalid password. So we just say invalid email or password. So that means it is not authenticated. So we just return here. If it is matched, then we go and create the SS JWT and refresh JWT. And what I want to do is I want to send the email here. So I want to put user email in our JWT. I'm going to show you that in a minute. So let's do user.email. Do you remember I said before we can put any data here as a payload? We can simply have like a email and email, or e@e.com like this, and this is still valid data. So that's what I'm gonna do here. We're gonna put email, not the name or whatsoever. Let's send the user.email to both of the function and save it, and let's make a request and see if we create any error. Let's do the login one, send login, and oh wow, there you go, no error. That happens rarely. That means we have a successful message, and we have SS token is this long and refresh token is this long. So if you want to copy and check this one, see what we have in our payload, let's go and paste it here. See, the payload is our email and the expiry date that we put here. So again, let's check on the another token too, just for fun. And if you put it there, again, you see the expiry date is changed and the email is same. But if you go down here, you might see invalid signature. because our signature was different. If you remember, we have a different signature in our environment variable here. That's why it's saying the invalid signature. But if you put that valid signature, that means the token is verified. So this is how we're going to check if the user is sending correct JWT or not. Okay, there you go, guys. You are now able to send the JWT back to the user. That's great so far. So we are not done yet as per our plan. So what we're going to do is now we are going to store SS token in Redis database and refresh token in our actual Mongo database here. So okay, I'll just commit these changes to our staging as well. Okay, and I'm just gonna leave as it is. So guys, now the next part is storing those JWT into the respective database. So first thing we're going to do is that we're going to need Redis database installed in our system. If your computer does not have Redis database installed, I have already created video about how to install Redis database in the Windows. I'll put the link in the description or somewhere in the card. Make sure you install that. In order for us to access the Redis client, so we need the package called Redis 1.7 million per node. So we need Redis to access our database. So simply, I'll quickly show you how we can use Redis here. So let's say we created token like so. So what I'm gonna do simply, let me quickly show you how we can leverage the Redis. So this is only possible if you have installed Redis in your system. Okay, what I'm going to show. So we do it will take me inside the Redis console. Now I can simply say set this one as a key and value. This is how we're going to save. So let's say if I set that one, if the data is saved, it will say okay. And now if you want to get this value, simply say get provide the key and you will get the value. In our case, what we're going to do, we're going to do set. We will provide our JWT, not refresh JWT, but SS JWT and provide as a key. So set the JWT as a key and the value is the user ID. Hit enter. Now it's okay. And if you want it again, copy this, put the hit enter. There you go. So this is how it's gonna work with the JWT from the Redis database. So for that, we gonna need the package. Let's install that again. Let me close this one. We don't need it. So close the application. Control C to close it. And let's go grab this package and let's install it. So while it's installing, what we're going to do is I'm going to create another helper function that helps for the Redis. So go inside the helper folder, create redis.helper.js, and we just now follow what the documentation says. We're going to require Redis and create the client and go inside, go here in the file and simply save it. This is going to create the client for us. Now we can simply create a function to do the query to that database. So we're going to save first const save JWT, I would say, and we're going to get key and value is a error function. And now is simply we can do is that client.set key and value and client.get key. That's all we need to do. And let's go there, and inside we are setting, instead of save, maybe we use set more, sounds more better, set. So client.set key and value. I don't need Redis.print now. And we need to return promises, guys, as you remember that we've been doing it. So to do that, I'm gonna show you. We can simply call the callback function and response the data. So client. Okay, let me see. So let's create the callback function. Here we have either error or response. I'll just say resp. Let's make it short for both, error or response. And that's the error function again. And so if error, okay, let's wrap this both all in the promise. So I'm gonna say return new promise, and we have a result or reject, and let's wrap both inside here. Now if error, we're going to reject the error, that's the error, and otherwise we resolve the response. So okay, and then let's wrap everything in try catch block in case something throws the error. So I'm gonna do try catch, because since we are dealing with database, there are a million reasons could go wrong. Things could go wrong, so better always wrap in the try catch block and simply reject if there is an error. That's it. And that's for the set. We do the get as well. I'm gonna copy that, and instead of set, I'm gonna say get JWT. We only need key, we don't need value, and we only provide key. And here we say client.get and error response again. If error, throw the error. If response, let's send the response, save the file. And here later we're going to provide the URL. By default it will access to the local host with the database this, but Redis uses Redis protocol. So simply it works like this. So by default, I'm just gonna comment out for now. By default, it's gonna have Redis protocol with localhost, and the port is 6379. That's the default port. So this is the default URL to access to the Redis database installed in the localhost. Okay, so this one we probably put in the environment variable so that we can change the path when we go to the production. So I'll just save that for now, and let's export both of them out, get and set out of here. So simply do module.exports. I have a set JWT and get JWT. Save the file, and let's call both of them in our we needed in our JWT helper. So here we created, so we can simply call the function to save from here as well, so we don't need to go to that user router. So here I'm gonna say const not required yet, const set and get JWT required from I think it's in the same folder, so /Redis helper. Now I can once the token is created, where not refreshing token, SS token, once the token is created, simply I can say set JWT. I can call this function. I don't need any response back from there, and simply save that. And let's put everything in try catch block again in case there is any error coming. Anything throws the error, we'll have the error. And of course we need to reject that error as a promise as well. Let's save that and create SSJWT. So what I want to do now, let's call that function, and we write a lot of code. Let's see if there is any error or not. Let's run npm start. Oops. Okay, we got an error. Await is only valid in async. Okay, here saying that async is required. Yes, boss. Okay, let's send the request to our login endpoint again with the same login information, and we are expecting our endpoint to create the JWT and store in the Redis database and send back here. So when we use that JWT, we should be able to get in our Redis database. So let's send that, unless there is any error. Sweet, seems all good. Success, we got new. Okay, let's again send it. See, it will change. So it's changed. Now let's copy that and try to see if we have that that data stored in our Redis database or not. So simply I can do CLI to get to the Redis client and pass the get command with the key. Test, it's saying nil. That means it did not work. Let's see why. Let's go back again to the user router first. So here, where is the create? Okay, from here we're following to create JWT, and when we have a create JWT is created, then we calling set JWT. When we go to set JWT in the function here, we pass key, and let's see if we are getting key or not here first. I'm gonna do key and try to send that again. Okay, so we have, it's not reached to that point. So what we have to do, I'm gonna close that, close this. Just want to make sure our Redis is connected. We can call the on connection or on error. Let's simply run this one in case if there is any error. Go to Redis helper, and as soon as we create the client, I'm gonna do client if it is connect like on error, throw the error in our console. I just want to see if there is an error. Let's go send the login again. Okay, there is no error, and make sure we are calling it properly. Okay, go to so seems like we are not getting this call because I need to await here, because I'm just sending the pending data to do the set JWT, and we are sending a JWT to here to set JWT. Oh, okay, we are actually not passing the key value. We're just passing key string because I copy pasted from the website before. That's what happens, guys, when you copy paste. And I need value as well. So basically I have to go back again and do a little bit work. So from here, instead of just sending key, I need the value as well. So let's go back again to user model, and instead of only email, I need to send ID as well. Remember, I told you I'm gonna store ID as a value of that key. And now let's go to there. So I will here have payload. Now I will not have payload, I will have email and underscore ID. Now I will put this email here as a payload and pass this ID with JWT, SSJWT, and save it. And let me see what happens now. I just want to try one more time. Of course, error happens. Node Redis, the set contains invalid argument type. It's searching buffer, accepted. Please update your code. Okay. When you go here, JWT, let's go to this function, and I want to see what's coming here first. Guys, as you can see that we are receiving string and object here in our set JWT. That's why we can assign. So we should receive string. That's what it is saying here. Only string, date, and buffer are accepted. So it's coming as object. So the data, this one is passed this to set JWT from JWT helper. Yeah, the ID, which is also coming from create JWT, which was called in user router here. You know what we can do? Simply put in the template string and pass as a variable, and it will stringify that, and save now, and let's hit enter, and let's see if this one can help solve the issue. Yeah, now string and string, there is no error, seems like they're working fine. Now I want to try use that JWT and see if there is a data in our Redis database. So let me again get the pass here. So we are still in the client. So if I say get this as a key, okay, we have the value D74, which is in the database. That's definitely working. We can even like do that one more time. Send. Okay, I just want to keep this one just as a reference here. Okay, and let's send again new one. I'm gonna send new request, so we have new one. Let's check this one. Let's do get, paste that, hit enter. We got that key, and let's use that one as well, the one from before, and let's do get paste. See, this one is definitely different different JWT than this one. So let's hit enter. See, we have the data. So that's now definitely working, guys. Sorry about that error. Okay, let me remove that. I'm gonna save that, and here I'm gonna, this one is okay. I don't need to do anything here. User model, I'm just gonna see, I just want to remove this console first here and go to the user Redis helper. We don't need this one now. They're all working fine. Now set part is done. Get part, we will need this one for when we are working on user authorization router. So when we are working on authorization API, we'll work on that one. This tutorial is going to be very long if I combine authentication and authorization router. So authorization part will be in the next tutorial, guys. Make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss that tutorial too. For now, we got one more things left. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to quickly commit this change in our stage as well. So I said before that we want to put our Redis environment variable. So maybe we'll do the same here. We just pass the Redis string, Redis connection string here, process.env. We haven't created that one yet, so we will do it. Okay, Redis URL. So I'm gonna use this one and store as Redis URL, Redis localhost. This one I'm gonna take it and put in our environment variable as well, because we're going to need to change that one if you want to push this code to production, and we will have a different location for the Redis database, which you don't want to expose to any other people. So we need to rerun the application every time you change anything in the .env file. Let's quickly run one more time and see if it still works. Yeah, it's working now. Okay, now we are going to store refresh JWT in MongoDB along with user data. So what we want to do is, let's go to user schema. Here we want to store the JWT as well. So let's add our schema. So we're going to have, let's say, refresh JWT as a property inside object. Inside that we will going to have a token, and token will be type of string, and the I'm gonna put max length is 500 for now, and I'll give default to empty string, and I want to put the date as well. So I'm gonna say added at, so this is the type of date, and require true, and default. If you put require, try always put default so that in worst case scenario you don't crash the app. So I'm gonna say date.now. We'll give the current date of the time of the execution. So yeah, I'll save that. So this is what we're going to do. Okay, so let's do the query to save the token in this format. And now go to the model and let's create a function called set token, right? So const store user refresh JWT is we're going to get basically two things. One, user ID. This is where we're going to search the user, and the actual token that we're going to store in the database. And now we're going to return promise with the if everything goes right we do resolve, if not we do reject, and this is the error function. And let's run this one in try catch block. In case something goes wrong, we can simply reject the error. And here let's call our schema. This is our schema here, which is in our user schema in try block. So we try to do query. So there is a query called find one and update. So in that function we have to provide the filter. So what do you want to have, like a where condition? So let's say where ID is the one we're going to put here. If that's the case, we need to update the database. So what do you want to set in the database? So you provide the set with the $sign. This is the database prefix. This is how you need to do it. Okay, and here you provide what do you want to set as an object, and inside the object, if you remember, we have to go refresh JWT, and inside that we have token. So we have to do that dot token. Okay, token, and make sure you wrap up with the quotation. And here now we pass the token itself, and this is first object is the filter, remember that. Second object is the data itself that you want to update, and third one, if you want to return the latest updated data, you can simply say new true. And we also have a date. I remember we have an edit date. Let's provide edit date as well. So simply put comma. I'm gonna do just copy this, edit at okay, and save that. Everything seems okay to me. And okay, this one now we can basically 10. If everything goes okay, then we will have a data. So we will resolve the data. That means the updated data after updating the database, or we catch the error and we reject that error. Let's save that, and let's call this store users refresh JWT, export from here, and let's import that into our JWT helper, where we have created refresh, create refresh JWT. That's where we're gonna pass that. That's where we're gonna call this function. So let's import first const store user refresh JWT require from, this is in the user.model. So we need to go one folder up, go to model /user model, set that, and we call this here, and we simply send the refresh token, and plus the we need again same like ID. We need ID. We need to pass this ID from the user router and pass here as well. Then we can simply here say const result equals to await, and we need to pass async. You know what, we don't actually, I don't want to need to have this. and save this, and I'll just console log here only. Console log here in case there is an error. And again, go back to JWT helper and make sure we run this one inside the try catch as well. If any error, we can simply reject the error. Just gonna copy this. Reject error and put rest of the code inside try block and save that. What is complaining? Before that, I think let me see what is complaining first quickly. Okay, yeah, in the JWT helper, I supposed to delete that but didn't delete it. Yeah, we don't need to wait. Actually, yeah, we want to wait, so let's pass async anyway and save that. Without async, you cannot use await. So now let's quickly run and see if there is any error. Again, send it. Seems like there is no error. Sign is a good sign. I don't know if it worked or not. Let's refresh the database, and I don't see any update. Let me see why. Okay, we have an ID here waiting in our restore refresh JWT. So make sure we pass this ID from our, I think the user dot from our user dot router. Make sure you pass that ID. Here we need to pass the user dot ID. I'm just going to copy this one as a second parameter and save the file and go to that function. Here we have ID expecting, and now we can use that ID. Let's be consistent. So we are using email here. Let's use email as well here. And let's give a try and see how it goes. There you go. Let's send it, send the login request. Okay, there is no error. The sign is good. Let's go to our database, refresh again. There you go. Now you can see refresh JWT new object with the authentication edit date and the token, actual token. So now it is storing our token in our MongoDB with the user information. And you can see we have also written response to our client. So this one is in our Redis, in our Mongo database, and this one in our Redis database. That's great, guys. Good job. Okay, so I'm just gonna commit this code quickly. I'm not gonna remove any console out of here. This is for your reference, guys. I'm gonna do git status. Okay, now code will be available in the GitHub for you guys. So there you go, 1 minute ago, refresh key store in the database and blah, blah, blah. So I have here, guys, remember .env file. Here, we supposed not to have that file here. So I'm quickly gonna show you how you can remove that. Go to, so here simply add .env file. When you save that, now the file is already tracked. So we need to simply say, I'm gonna create a copy of that and say f2 sample. So we will leave the sample to be there, but make sure when you are doing in the production, if you are using production key, make sure you are not putting in the .env. So we have to remove the .env file. Go to the code and .env file. Delete this file from here. Okay, the file is successfully deleted. There is no more .env file. And go back to your code again here, and since we have added this file, it won't let us do anything. So what we have to do is, let me stop the server. So if you do git status, it's saying this file is added. So let's do git add .env.sample and say git commit m.env.v.impl is added, and now do git pull. Okay, now basically it's deleted from our file index. Now copy. I'm just doing the easiest way for you guys. Okay, there's other way you can do using the git command, so this is the easiest way you can follow. So now simply when you do git.env and then just hit enter, now your git ignore will ignore this file. So if you do git status, now we need to add git ignore file as well. So git add file updated and show git status. So now if you do git push, just want to show you, this one is important. So okay, now in our local branch there is nothing that we have, all the code is up to date. Now if you go to our server, if I refresh the code again, in our git ignore, now I have .env file, but if I go to the code files, we don't have the .env file anymore. So this is the easiest for you guys to remove that git any important file that if you have pushed to GitHub and you want to remove that, that's the easiest way. So make sure you never push any secret code or password or any important information to repo. Okay guys, that's all for this tutorial. Thanks for watching guys. Hope you enjoyed the tutorial. If you did, then give me a thumbs up. In the next tutorial, we are going to create authorization router, where when user sends the JSON web token that we have sent to the client side, then we will verify if the client has sent the correct JSON web token or not, and if that is existing database or not, and if so, then we will decode it and we will get the user ID, and then we will do the query based on that user ID. It's going to be another exciting and important tutorial guys. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel and turn on all the notifications so that you don't miss any of the tutorial. If you have any question, any concern about the tutorial, write in the comment section. I'll try to answer as soon as possible, or you can join me in my Discord channel and I'll respond to you any question you have. Okay guys, stay safe and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye for now.